Assalamualaikum and a very good day to our panel, Datin Dr. Nur Samaria Ngah and Madam Julina binti Muhammad Neng. Let us introduce ourselves. My name is Nur Izzatul Amirah binti Noli, along with my partner Haji bin Anwar. We will present our research regarding psychology impact of students on online distance learning. We have been supervised by Madam Saidah binti Ahmad. The Malaysian government had implemented several protective measures to alleviate the COVID-19 outbreak and were promptly executed by them through the Movement Control Order. As a result, the proclamation of the Movement Control Order made by the Malaysian government to some extent had fully changed the overall education system that prohibit the face-to-face classroom learning, as the government had underlined the COVID-19 standard operating procedure, which made it compulsory for all of the Malaysian citizens to strictly obey social distancing, especially in the crowded environment. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit all over the world, and our country is no exception. The worldwide spread of the COVID-19 has shown the importance of implementing online teaching and learning in the new norm. From here, we can see that there are psychological effects on students at all levels as a result of online distance learning. Recently, there has been many reports of emotional stress problems among students following the implementation of online distance learning. Research questions are a reflection of research objectives. In this research, there are 4 objectives. First, to investigate the relationship between student anxiety and online distance learning. Second, to investigate the relationship between student attitude and online distance learning. Third, to investigate the relationship between student motivation and online distance learning. And lastly, to investigate the relationship between student boredom and online distance learning. Based on a study from Valiva and Ivanova, students are anxious and ashamed to ask when they are forced to study in a new format that causes anxiety because they are not proficient in the new learning format. It also explains the high level of situational anxiety versus personal anxiety. Then, according to Muhammad Khairi, students are becoming anxious as a result of their online workload. Due to that, students might quickly understand the usage of internet media even if they have just recently learned it. According to the study made by Unger and Myran, the attitude of undergraduate students are evaluated with regard to the rapid change of the in-class learning to an entirely online distance learning environment due to the COVID-19 outbreak. The negative attitude expressed by students toward online learning can be recognized in terms of computer hardware problems, technological anxiety, low level of computer skill, incapacity to work independently, poor study skill, as well as low motivation.
The third independent variable is students' motivations. Some recent research has found that students' motivation in online learning has been impaired both intrinsically and extrinsically as a result of the rapid transition from traditional face-to-face learning to online distance learning. This is due to the fact that students' motivation with regards to online distance learning was revealed to have inconsistent results in education, as it has caused several students to be unmotivated while others were tremendously motivated. The fourth independent variable is students' boredom. According to the study made by Mania 2020, the students' boredom during online distance learning can cause frustration among students, as boredom was known to be the main predictor for frustration. This may happen when students experience lack of face-to-face communication and socialization, lack of interaction with the teacher, lack of interaction with colleagues, and lack of hands-on experience. Based on the conceptual framework, the 4 independent variables involved in this study comprises of student anxiety, student attitudes, student motivation, and student problems had a direct relation with the dependent variable, which is online distance learning. Besides, each of the variables involved in this study had formed two hypotheses, namely alternative hypothesis and null hypothesis. According to the alternative hypothesis, there is a significant relationship between the independent variables and dependent variables. Meanwhile, the null hypothesis shows that there is no significant relationship between the independent variables and the dependent variables. In addition, the research methodology involved in this study. Firstly, research design of this study used quantitative method, and the unit of analysis involved the student from primary school, secondary schools, and university in Malaysia. Meanwhile, the sample size include 210 respondents and comprised students from primary school, secondary schools, and university in Malaysia. However, only 150 respondents were considered valid. Besides, the sampling technique used in this study is stratified random sampling. Other than that, the data collection of this study used survey of questionnaire, and the data analysis used descriptive analysis and person correlation. Last but not least, the data measurement used Likert scale. Based on the demographic profile, most of the respondents comes from female students with a frequency of 92 and a percentage of 61.3%. Besides, the majority of the respondents aged between 18 years old and above, with a frequency of 107 and a percentage of 71.3%. Furthermore, the respondents' level of education shows 95 respondents studied in university with a percentage of 63.3%. The place of residence also indicates the highest number of 96 respondents originated from urban area with a percentage of 64%. Lastly, the majority of 77 respondents choose types of financial aids in terms of parent support with a percentage of 51.3%. In addition, the hypothesis testing had analyzed the four research objectives through the person correlation analysis. The first objective is to investigate the relationship between students' anxiety and online digital learning. The result shows that R is equal to 0.669 and p-value is equal to 0.000, and hence it can be indicates that the alternative hypothesis 1 was accepted and null hypothesis 1 was rejected. Besides, the second objective is to investigate the relationship between student attitudes and online digital learning. The result shows that R is equal to 0.739 and p-value is equal to 0.000, and hence it can be assumed that the alternative hypothesis 2 was accepted and the null hypothesis 2 was rejected. Other than that, the third objective is to investigate the relationship between students' motivation and online digital learning. The result shows that R is equal to 0.663 and p-value is equal to 0.000, and hence the alternative hypothesis 3 was accepted and the null hypothesis 3 was rejected. The last objective is to investigate the relationship between student boredom and online digital learning. The result shows that R is equal to 0.611 and p-value is equal to 0.000, and hence it can be concluded that the alternative hypothesis 4 was accepted and the null hypothesis 4 was rejected.
In this study, there are three recommendations. First, an educator must plan innovative, creative learning techniques that make use of technology. By using technology, many applications can be used and exposed to students to make them more interested in learning because online learning sessions are more creative and innovative. Among the applications that can be used in the online learning medium is Kahoot and also Quizy. Second, the role of the government through the Ministry of Education measure and the Ministry of Higher Education. The curriculum developed should also be adapted to online learning, including student-centered learning, by taking into account lesson content, learning approach, and assessment methods that differ from traditional methods. However, in addition to digital, emphasis should be placed on skill training specific how to conduct online teaching as opposed to classroom teaching in interpret situations between teacher or lecturer and student. There are a few teachers and lecturers who require guidance, and hopefully the role played by this skilled colleague will assist them. Then students need to be better prepared in facing the online learning session. Students must create their own learning schedule, find learning material other than those provided by the lecturer or teacher, schedule discussion time for group assignment, determine the closing date of the breakdown of group work so that it can be complete before the assignment deadline, and make a variety of decisions that require problem-solving skills like unstable or weak internet connection. At the same time, teacher or lecturer must be provide feedback on student work in order for them to be motivated to complete the next assignment. The first limitation is the small sample size. When conducting a research study, it is critical to have a sufficient sample size in order to establish valid research results. If the researcher uses a large sample size, the result will be more accurate. When the sample size is too small, it is difficult to find meaningful correlation in data. However, because the researcher was able to obtain 150 questionnaire responses out of the 210 respondents stated in this research study, the study result may have been significant influence as a result. The study findings cannot be generalized to all Malaysian students. To obtain better results, the representative of Malaysian students, future researchers should conduct a study with a broader scope of respondents and a more appropriate sample size, because using the appropriate sample size will result in more accurate study results. Second, time limitation. To publish their findings in a journal, researchers must adhere to a deadline, just as students must adhere to a deadline to submit a paper in class. As a result, deadlines limit the amount of time available for researching problems and tracking changes over time. Time constraints will have an impact on the result of the study, because the researcher may only complete the most important part in order to submit the study on time. Because the population for the study includes all university, secondary and primary school students in Malaysia, it will take longer to complete. In the future, researchers need to find popular topics within the time constraint of the study so that the results are more accurate. This is because the chosen topic needs to be properly to the chosen location as well as its relevant to the society for the time being. In addition, it also needs continuous effort from the researcher to get a lot of respondents in a short time for the purpose of their active involvement in the future research studies. Lastly, variable limitation. Researchers in this study are limited in their ability to analyze four independent variables, namely student anxiety, student attitude, student motivation, and student breakdown. As a result, it may limit researchers' ability to identify additional impact of it relevant to the study. In future research, the researcher should include more variables to see the sample interaction that have occurred and to obtain more satisfactory results from the research analysis in order to enable the future researcher to conduct additional research from a variety of perspectives. In conclusion, the purpose of the study was to look into the psychological impact of online distance learning on students in primary school, secondary school, and universities in Malaysia. Online distance learning on students in primary school, secondary school, and universities in the study was conducted during a COVID-19 pandemic, which provided them with new experience. As the researchers fully demonstrated, the findings of the study revealed that online distance learning affects the psychology of most of the Malaysian students from university, secondary school, and primary schools.